Good evening, and welcome to Viral Virtue. It's your favorite apostates. I'm McKay.
I am Jordan.
And we're kind of in a spooky, goofy mood this evening that we're recording for you. We're in our comfy jammies
We're
because
cozy.
suddenly it's cold as shit, and that
This motivated me.
the
So
autumn chill is in the air, and it is Halloween, baby. Or, thereabouts when this gets uploaded. But welcome. Before we get into it, let's hear a word from today's sponsor, Aura. Here's something spooky. Our personal information, all of us who exist on the internet, is being scraped by various websites and being sold to data brokers or, whoever is willing to pay for it. And that is it gives us an uneasy feeling. That means that people who are trying to scam you, people who are trying to market to you, who are trying to spam you, are all able to get this data and do whatever they want with it.
check out all of this information that is up for grabs. There's kind of an insane amount in here about where you live, who you live by, your birthday, addresses, emails, jobs. Like, there is an insane amount of information in here. This is why we use Aura, which protects your privacy by identifying the data brokers that are selling your information. And they take care of the hard part. They automatically remove it, so you don't have to do any extra work on your end.
There certainly are other services that claim to do what Aura does, but they don't have a ton of the stuff that Aura has to offer. Aura alerts you if they find your information on the dark web. They have real-time fraud alerts for credit and banking, a secure VPN that also has antivirus and manages your passwords, and US-based support that is available for you around the clock if you need any help, which the support never is needed during the daylight hours, right?
It's always an inconvenient time, but they are there for you. You can try Aura free for 14 days at aura.com/Jordan McKay, and in those 2 weeks, Aura will get to work scrubbing your personal info off of these data broker sites.
We aren't leaving ourselves vulnerable, and neither should you. And once again, thank you to Aura. So what's the deal with Mormons and ghosts? Because honestly, I can't believe that we've gone this far and we've never really even addressed it. I don't know. I guess it's kind of a topic that we really only think about
Every so often.
every fall
Spooky.
for Halloween time. And if you don't know, we love Halloween and all kinds of stuff that's spooky and shit like that. We love decorating our house and everything like that. But I feel like this is one of those lesser talked about kind of topics within Mormonism, and one that people probably wouldn't really expect. While this might be like a no-brainer in a lot of like religious kind of paradigms and everything like that, especially in like Christian ones, there is like kind of a surprising amount of lore behind what Mormons believe when it comes to ghosts and spirits or things of that nature.
I also think it depends on the way that you phrase the question. If you ask the average Mormon if they believe in ghosts, I feel like they're going to say no.
Or they would say, the Holy Ghost. But that's only one of the names. They also call him the Holy Spirit or whatever. But most of them, if you said, do you believe in ghosts?
I feel like they would say no.
No. But if you were like, do you believe in spirits?
That's a different question.
That's an entirely different question, because the idea of spirits is foundational to Mormonism.
True.
There is a long explanation to this, and there's a short. So I'm going to try to give you the best Spark Notes version of this explanation possible. But before the earth was created, as the Mormon theology goes, we all, every single person, you, me, Jordan, we all existed together as one big happy spirit family.
Chilling.
The idea is that God had spirit children that are likened to humans, but without a body of flesh and blood. So like our spirits take the form of like our human body, but we didn't have,
we were just flowy
bodies. We're just
flowy,
just vibes, right?
Bodiless. It was all just chill, like a lava lamp.
Just honestly, but always in a humanoid form, right? So we all existed before this was we're all going on down here, right?
But
All
can we
this
talk about how that's
big-
kind of lame? Like, you get to exist in a form, and we all
Right.
choose the same one. Like, you're telling me I can't be
No.
like
The point
Chewbacca or
the point is that we're not allowed to choose.
a cat,
It's
or
like
so much for that agency.
Foundational to our like
Gender is eternal.
right. No, that plays into it, but that's a
I
topic
gotta
for
have a
another day.
cooter even in my spirit form.
Right. That comes back in later. Anyway, progressing with the story,
Yes.
God was like, you guys need to get bodies, and the only way for me to do that is to put you on a planet and test you so that I know that you're worthy of being glorified like me.
Because that was the only way to do that.
Right. For some reason. Nobody ever
The
kind
only
of
way.
questions that.
No.
So basically, there was like a lot of what they would call the war in heaven. And basically, it was championed by Jesus Christ, who is canonically our spirit brother.
He's a brother, all right.
And Lucifer, who is also canonically our brother,
But probably hotter.
arguably.
So it goes.
And there were two plans that were presented by each of these champions. One by Lucifer, who said, we should all go there and we should all return. And I think the glory
He
should
brought
be
out
mine.
the PowerPoint
He
and
brought
said, let me lay it out for you.
And honestly, it's a chill plan. Why wouldn't God want to love all of his children like that?
But there's that catch.
The catch is Lucifer gets the glory. And God was like, no,
I don't like that.
I don't like that. And then the suck up, Mormon Jesus was like, God, we should go and everybody will be tempted and they're going to have to kill me in order to get back to you, but all the glory will be yours. And he was like, wrap it up. Lucifer, you're gone.
Who went for this plan? I mean, I know they're like, well,
2/3 of the hosts of heaven.
2/3 of the hosts
right?
of heaven. But like, hey guys, here's my plan. We're going to suffer. I'm going to die. So I'm going to suffer
Real.
more than a lot of you. But all of you are going to suffer too. But it's all right because Mormon God will be happy about it. Does that sound like a good plan to you?
Right. Turns out we
No.
were all just indoctrinated into wanting to love God more than do something that actually made
We were
kinda
over being
sense.
lava lamps.
We were over it. We just wanted to have bodies, and we're like, yeah, we should suffer. So anyway, God casts out Lucifer, who becomes Satan. I don't know why when you get cast out of Satan, the heavens, you get a new name or whatever.
Oh,
Usually you have
heaven's
to go
not
to
a
the
new name.
you got to go to the temple for that. But all of the people who were behind him and his plan, they also got cast out, and they get blocked from the rest of the plan.
They're demonic.
Technically. So anyway, the idea is that those that were followers of Lucifer, they got cast out. They end up here on planet Earth, and they're so miserable that they're tempting God's favorite warriors or
Because that's
champions.
their favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
These insufferable people who picked this plan, they're like, yeah, nothing more than I want to do than sit around your weird lava lamp, non-lava lamp ass all day.
Seriously. So they're so miserable that they want to screw with everybody else while we're being tested, and they want to make sure that you don't find the Mormon gospel or you're tempted to leave it like we did. So in one sense, that is what Mormons believe to be ghosts, especially when it comes to the evil sense.
They working for Satan.
There's even some stories of the devil using angels of light who are sent to trick people into doing evil or whatever. But it is really ironic that an angel of light appeared to Joseph Smith
Did
to
we
reveal to
think
him
this
where
through?
the plates were. But they retconned the problems with that by saying, oh, you just have to, God would never send an angel of light that didn't have a physical body. So I'm not even kidding. This is a real fucking thing. The way to test an angel of light is to offer a handshake. And a real angel will shake your hand because he has a body of flesh and blood. And an angel of the devil,
He's got a lava
won't,
lamp
because
hand,
he
so
can't. He's got a lava lamp
that.
hand. Yeah, right. It just goes right through.
So next time you meet an angel, make sure the first thing you ask.
Shake your hand. I'm gonna shake your hand.
Because
So
if you're seeing a
I
personage, that's the first thing you should be thinking
I'm
about.
being 100% serious. This is not a joke. It sounds
I'm turning it
stupid.
into a joke, but it's not a joke.
This is real. This is something that Mormons believe, that there are angels of light employed by the devil to try to trick people into evil. But that brings up also the topic of demon possession,
not
which goes hand in hand, because they do believe that people can be possessed by evil spirits who were cast out with Satan. And a lot of people attribute these kind of demon possessions into manifestations of like severe mental illness episodes or addiction and narcotics use and stuff like that. But the principle of the idea behind all of this is that they are only really able to tempt you, or especially to possess you, if it is something that you welcome.
So basically, you gotta like invite him in
Yeah,
and
you're
say,
like,
"Hey, I'm interested in that."
hey, Mr. Demon, I want you inside me. Or something like. And this was something I genuinely was afraid of.
It's giving the Salem witch trials
Were you afraid of it?
of demon possession.
Yeah.
Yes, because my mom was a freak and talked about it all the time.
I was gonna say this. Even me, I was like, sometimes you would have those thoughts where you're like, I wonder what it would be like, and then you would have to, like, in your mind, chastise yourself, like, don't even open that door a little bit,
I was so
because it's not something to mess with.
well, and they say they use that for everything too, like, anything witchy or occult or tarot, astrology, like anything that has that kind of vibe to it, they're going to say is an invitation for evil spirits. But I was so terrified of this as a kid that I used to sleep with my blankets over my head because I was afraid, toward the wall, because I was afraid if I looked anywhere else in my room that I would see like an evil spirit.
It's the invitation of things that was, like, really scary for me.
That you were going to accidentally do it.
Yeah, or okay. This was something that happened while I was on my mission. I feel like shit like this people talk about more when they're in foreign, underdeveloped countries. I don't know what it
Not
is.
spooky, just racism.
I feel like it's just racism. I don't know. But there was a missionary who I still am friends with, and he's left the church, and he told me these stories, and he still can't really necessarily explain what went on, but it scared the shit out of me. But he was in this place called Lange, which is in the middle of, like, the mountains in the hottest region of Honduras, right smack dab close to the border with El Salvador. It is really far out there. And he went further out from the main village because they heard from the branch president, who was a weirdo, about this place where there were witches. And they were like, we're going to go find these witches and preach the gospel to them. I don't know if he was really that invested on the preaching the gospel part, but he was adventurous, and I admire him for that. But anyway, but basically what happened was all this weird shit started to happen that he couldn't explain. At one point he said they were walking down the road, and it was like that one scene in the Lord of the Rings where they encounter the Nazgul on the road, and Frodo's just like looking down, and it just like grows longer, and they just booked it out of there. But then that night, or close to that night, they started seeing like shadowy figures. Like they were living in a partially built motel that one of the members owned, and there was a room on the second level that I've been there because we had to do something, but there was a room on the second level that he saw a shadowy figure run up to and was just standing in the doorway, and they were like, nobody's supposed to be there. So they got up and they ran after it and ran into the room, and there was no one there. And then later that night when they went to bed, he saw another shadowy figure standing in the window, and like, I don't know. It's some weird shit that he was talking about, but this kind of thing plays into the idea that when you go and seek after like evil,
Yeah.
it opens the door for really sketchy spirits to come and visit you and
Devil
everything
may
like
get
that.
out or in.
I asked him what he made of it, and he didn't get back to me in time, but he didn't deny anything. He recounted it just as I had remembered it when he told me all those years ago, but it's some spooky, weird shit. And these were missionary. There's like all kinds of missionary stories, like this one that I found on Reddit. Of course, another missionary, but it kind of drives the point home.
I got transferred before the baptism took place, but my companion at the time was still there. Apparently, the girl we had taught was possessed by her grandmother's spirit, and when they rebaptized her, she came up out of the water foaming and thrashing. They cast the spirit out of her, and she was normal. The parents told the elders afterwards that's why they wanted her baptized, because she was drinking chicken blood and was possessed. I guess they rebaptized her afterwards since the name we had been using for her wasn't her real name, but the grandma's name. My companion and I always felt like something was odd, but it didn't appear until the baptism. Only reason I believe it is because my companion and other members called me and told me I served in Africa.
And these things are pretty, I mean, they're really specific, but I never had anything like this happen to me.
I just have a hard time in this instance believing that missionaries, and especially like baptizing missionaries in this instance, would know what to do. Like if you are
Right.
baptizing somebody, and I'm not trying to like discredit this person, but if you're baptizing somebody and then they're like thrashing around and like foaming at the mouth and you think she's possessed, you're telling me the 18-year-olds know what to do in that situation? Like I'm pretty sure they don't cover
No.
that in the MTC.
They certainly don't.
So I just have a hard time believing they're like, oh, she's possessed by her grandmother. And then they're like, let us perform this ritual. Like, what are you doing
Right.
in that situation?
Well, and really, the only thing that I was ever part of was like blessing a house because they felt like some evil presence or whatever, which is really just suggestive to the mind. Like, if they're coming to me and they're saying, I feel this evil presence, I'm probably going to think that I feel it too. Even when I went to the motel that my friend was living at, I saw exactly what they were talking about. I looked across and I saw this room that was under construction that had no door on it, and it freaked me out. It felt weird to be there, but I had already heard that story, so it suggested to my mind that there was something that was going on. Obviously, I'm not here to say, "Oh, if you are feeling these things that then it's just your head."
No, I definitely think there are things that are unexplained and
Yeah.
phenomena we don't understand. Absolutely. But I think it can prime you for things that aren't there. Like
Certainly.
growing up in my house and hearing my mom talk about these things all the time, like my brain plus my OCD was like always primed for something to be there. So like
Mhm.
instead of explaining something away as like the house creaking, it was like, oh, there's somebody walking down the hall. Like it if you have that narrative there, it's
Right.
really easy to grasp onto that to try to support the belief. Plus, it's scary, and then your nervous system's involved, and yeah. So, like, I think it depends on your Mormon experience because there will be plenty of people, probably Mormons in the comments, who will be like, I never heard anything like that. My parents never said anything like that. I never experienced it. We've never even talked about ghosts before. And it's like, I think it vastly depends on like the Mormon family that you grew up in because mine was always very connected, if you will, to the spiritual side of things. And it was like my grandma saw dead people all the time, and it was a common spoken about thing in my family that my grandma just like saw dead people all the time. And like she wasn't like mentally ill beyond like what is normal for like depression and anxiety. So I think it just really depends on even the cultural implications of like
Right.
where you are, where you live, whether these are things that are commonly talked about like in other countries. Like I don't know how that plays into this story or not. Like I think this is one of those things where I think your experience vastly depends on like your cultural circumstances and like what is around you in terms of like identity and culturally formative experiences, if you will.
This one surprised me because it was from Ohio, where this guy was serving when he was a missionary. Yes, I saw some things. Saw windows slamming all around us. Heard a party of people in a room occupied by a crazy woman with no TV. knocked on a door once, and a guy came, and I immediately felt terrified. He proceeded to show us a nail hole in his hand and invited us in. I yelled to my companion, "Run!" And we ran down the street with my hair standing on end, and the mission home elders and APs, who are like the missionary leadership, were involved in an exorcism that was pretty freaking bizarre, where 4 elders couldn't keep a skinny girl held down. Oh yeah, and she was talking in a man's voice. Yep, they were freaked. Do I believe something happened? Yes. Do I know what? No.
As a therapist, I view this through the lens of there are people who exist on our planet who have like very unmanaged and persistent and severe mental illness that might manifest in some very intense and bizarre ways, like especially depending on where you are, if it is untreated or if a person is unmedicated or if a person is in like a psychotic episode. Like there's, in my mind as a therapist, I see this as like a very explainable, like if you've ever known somebody having a psychotic episode, like the behavior that you're going to see and the amount of like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not testosterone. Like the amount of energy and strength is kind of otherworldly and like very impressive, and, you know, like taking 4 EMTs to hold them down. Like you would be surprised what the brain can do in these kinds of situations. And that's not to shame these people. I think there's just a lot of
Yeah.
times in these cases, I think we're looking at a plausible explanation, like untreated or unmanaged mental illness, I think is a very likely scenario in these kinds of things. Like I had a family member who performed an exorcism who was like essentially very similar to this, and there was like a lot of lead up to it, but it was described like very similarly. And when somebody's in a mental health episode, like you would be surprised at the strength that is accessible, especially if the nervous system is involved and testosterone and cortisol are high. Like, you know, epinephrine's going crazy. Like there's lots of reasons I think that there's like plausible explanations here where I think people are potentially even suffering, and instead of doing something with that or exploring that further, we're just saying like we're putting a religious reason on it and saying it's because like my family member, it was like justified because she was like getting into Satanism or something. And it's always really convenient to me that there's like a logical, well, you know, she was dallying in the dark arts, you know, and then that's what happened. Like it just seems a little too convenient to me for that to be the case.
I mean, we even go back and look at what Kevin Franke said about things that were going on during Jody's demon possessions.
Yes.
And I mean, at the time, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. Before we had seen really anything, I was like, that's kind of weird. He's talking about like cabinets opening and closing. Maybe even shit was like floating or whatever
Mm-hmm.
that he said. But I mean, we see the video footage of her doing it when we're like,
Yeah, I think Jody was always putting on a show.
okay, this seems like a show to me.
She's not. She's not. She knows. I own her.
Mm-hmm.
So when we view it through that lens, we're like, okay, so maybe that other shit wasn't actually going on and he was just primed.
Or maybe
To
the
be
other side
receptive
doesn't
to
want Jody
something.
either, and they're like, no,
Who knows?
keep her over there. We don't
The
want her
other
over
side
here.
of wherever, they're like, get this
They're like, nah,
away from us.
we don't
do
want
not
anything to do
claim
with her.
So you look at that, and that's one of those prime examples where I feel like people were kind of confused at that whole aspect. But
Yeah.
this is like not really that foreign of a concept, especially when it comes to like demon possession and evil spirits
Mhm.
and things of that nature. So that's kind of the end of the spooky bit. This is now moving on to the part of the ghost encounters that probably the majority of Mormons would say that they have had. And usually these are good experiences.
I would say these are faith affirming.
These are faith affirming ones. And there's a big difference in these ones usually because we're not talking about the disembodied spirits that were cast out with Satan. Usually these ones involve spirits of people who have died and have passed on to the spirit world. this is also part of Mormon theology, where after we come here, we have our probation time on earth. You're supposed to go to the Mormon church and believe in the gospel and do all of this stuff and go to the temple and everything like that. And after you pass on from this life, you enter what's called the spirit world. And something important to understand about the spirit world is that it's basically overlaid on the physical world. So the
Which
spirit
I think is kind
world
of lame.
is separated by a proverbial veil that keeps spirits who have passed on from us. And it has a reason, because those spirits are in a place of probation. I don't even know. It's kind of like a holding cell, I guess you could call it.
It's like purgatory for Mormons.
There's purgatory, which they call spirit prison, which is where people go when they haven't received the gospel, and they get an opportunity to do it if they haven't yet done so, or if they're like us and they were bad and they have to go to spirit prison.
It has always bothered me, because they talk about spirit prison as your opportunity for people who never got the gospel to receive it. But I'm like, if I'm in prison, am I really going to be that enticed to join this thing? That, I mean, maybe because
Right?
I'm in prison and I hate it, but
Or
like,
maybe I'm extra enticed because the alternative is worse.
it's terrible. But it's like, what? Like, could we have not called it something else? Like, it just
Right.
doesn't, like, sure, maybe send McKay and I to spirit prison because that's where you think that we deserve to go. But like, for the people who truly never encountered
Lock
it,
me up.
the people who truly never encountered it, we couldn't have come up with like a spirit school.
A third one.
Like,
yeah.
they get to go to spirit school instead of spirit prison.
Even
like,
in Mormonism, third places are disappearing.
Come
We need a
on.
third space. So, yeah, there's spirit prison and spirit paradise, which is where the righteous people go. And I don't understand how they're in the same place, but they're different. But I think, anyway, we're not getting into that. We're for another
logistically, they'll
time.
never tell you because they don't have the answers.
It doesn't matter, right? That's further light knowledge that is not
revealed
saving
to us at this time.
knowledge. But most of these experiences have to do with those who were in spirit prison, and they are getting their salvation, so to speak, especially in the temple. There's a phrase that people use in the temple a lot, and it is kind of insufferable, which is, the veil is just so thin here. Meaning the veil between the physical world and the spiritual world. Because a lot of people claim to see spirits of
Mhm.
people who are having their temple work done for them vicariously by the people who are there in the spirit world. This kind of dovetails into the idea of temples and everything like that. If you would like to learn more about that, you can check out over here. We did a video with Alyssa Grenfell where we kind of, refreshed everybody's memories about how temples work. But this is that idea where they're doing vicarious work because these people don't have bodies anymore. They
They're back
missed
to
the
lava lamp.
opportunity. Yeah, they're back to the lava lamp form. There's no glass container.
No,
They're just the hot wax
you're just flowing all over the
existing. And
floor.
hopefully they can like some weird,
Where are they supposed to go?
some weird mush. But they have to there has to be a physical body that is immersed in water in order for them to be baptized. And there has to be a physical head for them to lay their hands on and confer the Holy Ghost and things like that. So they stand there present as spirits to witness themselves being baptized by this person. And I can't tell you the number of people that have had experiences witnessing those people because the veil is so thin or whatever.
I was a deeply involved family history girly. I probably baptized half of my ancestral line. Okay. And so I was
Probably
so
against their will too, by the
devoted.
way.
Yes, literally probably against their will. They were probably like, okay, bitch, like
Not,
whatever.
not even probably in some cases. Definitely against their will.
Definitely.
Which is
For
bad,
Catholic family
but-
members overturning in their graves. But anywho, I wanted so desperately to be able to have one of those experiences, and I never did. Like,
Me
I
too.
would feel peaceful in the temple because it's like quiet and they build it up in your head so it feels like this magical experience when it's really not. And it is really peaceful and beautiful inside because it's quiet, nobody's talking, and there's millions of dollars of like ugly couches around you. But like, I never in all that time, no matter how much I wanted it, had an experience where I was like, oh, like even when I was a Mormon, all my spiritually connected moments occurred outside of the temple. Like I never had despite baptizing and doing work for half of my fucking dead people, never had an experience like that. But you hear about it all the time. And I think I've talked to multiple ex-Mormons where they were like waiting to like come out of the baptismal font and like see the dead people like peek it over, because everybody builds it up as like, you'll see those people waiting. And it's like, I have yet, like beyond the lore, like the folklore around this stuff, I've never actually heard somebody talk about an experience like that. Beyond, there was one time, who was it? I think it was who baptized somebody. And she said they felt that they rejected the work. Like they felt really gross.
That's interesting.
And I was like, I've never had anybody telling about an experience where they felt like somebody didn't accept it, because it's just the implication is like you're giving them a gift and they want it.
Right. Yeah, I believe that they said that for sure, but I've never heard anybody else say anything like that.
Me either. It was used as part of the like agency affirming element of it. Was like they can say no. They're evil, but they can say no.
Right. Well, and this also brings in the idea that spirits are able to visit people here in the physical world as well. When we still believed in everything, like Jordan mentioned earlier, her grandma had pretty regular meetups with her late husband that died after Vietnam. And I never questioned anything about that.
No.
And
I don't think it really has anything to do with Mormonism, to be honest with you, but Mormonism supports it pretty staunchly.
Yeah, there was nothing necessarily in conflict with those kinds of situations. And in a lot of cases, those are those faith-affirming kind of situations. In preparation for this, I found a clip from 2017 of the recently late prophet Russell Nelson, who is talking at Roots Tech in Salt Lake City, which is all about family history, about his grandfather who was visited by his father who had passed away, or grandfather. I'm going to roll the clip so he'll correct me. But here's what he had to say after very briefly answering his questions, not really, about what it's like in the spirit world.
Listen to my grandfather's words about that sacred experience. I was in bed when Father entered the room. He came and sat on the side of the bed. He said, "Well, my son, as I had a few spare minutes, I received permission to come and see you for a few minutes. I am feeling well, my son, and have had very much to do since I died." "What have you been doing since you died, Father?" "I've been traveling together with Apostle Erastus Snow ever since I died. That is, since 3 days after I died. I received my commission to preach the gospel. You cannot imagine, my son, how many spirits there are in the spirit world that have not yet received the gospel. But many are receiving it, and a great work is being accomplished. Many are anxiously looking forth to their friends who are still living to administer for them in the temples. I've been very busy in preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ." "Father, can you see us at all times, and do you know what we are doing?" "Oh, no, my son. I have something else to do. I cannot go when and where I please. There is just as much and much more order here in the spirit world than in the other world. I have been assigned work to do, and it must be performed. We intend to go to the temple and get sealed to you, Father, as soon as we can. That, my son, is partly what I came to see you about. We will yet make a family and live throughout eternity." Now here's a little bit more. "Father, is the gospel as taught by this church true?" My son, do you see that picture pointing to a picture of the first presidency of the church hanging on the wall? Yes, I see it. Well, just as sure as you see that picture, just as sure is the gospel true. The gospel of Jesus Christ has within it the power of saving every man and woman that will obey it. And in no other way can they ever obtain salvation in the kingdom of God. My son, always cling to the gospel. Be humble, be prayerful, be submissive to the priesthood, be true, be faithful to the covenant you have made with God. Never do anything that would displease God. Oh, what a blessing is the gospel. My son, be a good boy.
So it's really interesting that his great grandfather, or whoever the hell, thought it was really important that he knows that, hey, this is the correct church and you need to stick around because it is the right church. Just
Because
so
that
you
couldn't
know.
possibly be utilized for an emotional manipulation of a person
No,
or a
not at
group
all.
of people to try to affirm their decision making.
Not at all. That would never, no such thing would ever go awry like that, Jordan. Emotional manipulation in religion, that's
Oh, I'm
crazy
sorry.
talk. What are you
I'm
saying?
sorry.
But it is kind of interesting. I feel like those situations are more common where people claim to see their relatives
Yes.
and things like that. And maybe a secular explanation would be, you know, these people, so obviously you're going to have some sort of imprint of them on your mind. I mean,
I'm not the moral authority on these issues. Maybe
believe
these
what you
things
want,
happen,
obviously.
maybe they
It
don't.
is-
But who
it's fine.
really
And
is
I'm not
to
going
know
to
here?
say that these experiences aren't valuable to those people who have them, because
I
they
like
certainly
these
are.
experiences for people.
They certainly are. And I mean, when somebody has passed on, that's a comforting thought
Mhm.
to think that whatever is out there after this, they, against all odds, are able to maintain that relationship with you or whatever. And I love that, honestly. But there, gotta keep talking about Rusty, but there's also an interesting phenomenon where people are visited by non-familial
Mm-hmm.
relationships, like in
Randos.
this circumstance where I'm not going to play the whole clip, but he is visited by two girls that he had operated on, and the operation was a failure. He was a heart surgeon, so they passed away, but they came and visited him.
Then one night, last May, I was awakened by those two little girls from the other side of the veil. Though I did not see or hear them with my physical senses, I felt their presence. Spiritually, I heard their pleadings. Their message was brief and clear. Brother Nelson, we are not sealed to anyone. Can you help us?
And to be perfectly honest, when I was looking for this clip, I remember him telling this story when I was a missionary, because he came to our mission and all the missionaries, and he talked to us and he shared this story. I was misremembering it because I thought there was some miraculous thing that these girls had to tell us. No. It was just that they needed to be sealed to they needed the Mormon stuff to be done for them. So is it a fabrication? I don't know. He
is
lied about
other things.
other things before, particularly
He
about
is
a plane
repeater.
incident.
McKay was telling me this earlier, and I remember reading this in his autobiography, because when I was Mormon, I read his autobiography.
So, yeah. Now, obviously, a lot of this is subjective, and most of the Mormon theology, in my opinion, is based on fiction anyway. How people's experiences, I'm not going to try to invalidate people's experiences and say, no, you didn't see what you saw, because obviously I wasn't there.
No.
But is there some unexplained stuff that's going on? Certainly. Sure. Love to hear that for you.
Is it mighty convenient when
Sorry
it
that
aligns with
happened.
Mormon doctrine?
It does seem to be mighty convenient, because I would venture to guess that in every religion who claims that they are the sole proprietors of the truth or the one gospel, they probably all say that in their little ghost experiences with people who have passed on. So it is mighty convenient that that just so happens to be popping up all over. But these were kind of experiences that I almost wanted to have. After I had heard those horror stories when I was on my mission, I was like, I don't want that. I'm not looking to experience anything like that. But I was always open to the idea that you could see the people in the temple, because it kind of added a layer of
Mysticism.
not only mysticism, but also like a
Holiness.
reason for all this, what we were doing, right?
Yeah.
Because outside of that, it was kind of a hollow experience, because you would go in and you would do this, and like these people are long gone in a lot of cases. So to have this feeling that you were accomplishing something and giving such a good gift to someone was something that I always wanted to be part of, but I never had any experience where I could say, oh yeah, I definitely saw something or anything like that.
No, I didn't either. I just wish we could translate that into, like, Mormons are willing to, I think it's a noble, like, if you believe in what they're doing, that they feel like they're offering this very selfless gift. I don't believe that it's truly selfless, because I think there's a lot of pressure to go to the temple. But I'm like, this is very compassionate and selfless on some level, but I'm like, can we extend this to the people who exist on our current plane?
Right.
Like, and it's not to say that Mormonism doesn't do stuff for charity and shit, because they do. It's a teeny tiny fraction of the money that they hoard, but like,
could you imagine the impact?
Yes. If we like monopolized, like if we took that time and transferred it into something that, like, you know, dealing with homelessness, dealing with like issues that are impacting our community, like dealing with the fact that a bunch of people probably aren't going to be able to eat next month. Like, could we translate that? And there's plenty of Mormons who volunteer and like are involved in their communities and things, and I think that's great. But it's like, to me, if none of this is true, it just seems like a lot of wasted time that could be invested back into your current community, helping people who are here and now. And again, I don't have disrespect towards people for going to the temple, because I think they think that it's a very noble thing to do, and I can appreciate that on some level. I just wish it would translate into here, families, community, people around them, because it doesn't seem to.
Now, of course, we're going to get the, oh, well, what are you doing to help your community and everything like that? And, you know,
do you want
it is
a list?
what it is.
Do you want bullet points?
It is what it is. But, yeah.
We're not here to purity test anyone.
Right.
But it's,
and it doesn't need to be something grand. It just kind of boils down to, like, there are going to be people who are working in the temple on Friday, Halloween Eve, and their lights on their house are going to be off, or they don't even participate at all.
Or they don't go trick-or-treating with their grandkids.
Yeah, they're not going to be participating in this community thing that people just like to have fun. I don't know. It seems small, but it's like those little things that
it's wasting time
really
on people who you will never probably encounter in this life or the next, versus spending time, the limited time that we have here in the present, with the people that matter. Like, to me, it just kind of seems like it, and I know this is a critical viewpoint, but I know for me, it like misses the point. Like, you have a finite amount of time on this planet, and instead you're spending it on people who you're not even sure if they're going to accept the gospel, 1 or 2. Like, you're not even sure if this is even going to be beneficial for them. And they'd say, like, yes, everybody deserves the opportunity. But, like, what about the people in your actual life? Like, what about your actual family? Like,
right.
Hello?
Well, it's crazy, too, because it's going to get done, right?
Got a whole millennium
what they're doing
to do
is
it for,
supposed
so...
it has to get done.
Yeah.
Per the theology, right?
Because to me, the risk is higher by not spending time with the people who have a finite potentially amount of time. Because if you're wrong and you wasted all your time on the dead people, I think that's a higher cost, personally.
What's the opposite of Pascal's wager? Yeah. Anyway, rant over. This is about ghosts and spooky shit.
Spooky shit.
And not so spooky shit, but supernatural or whatever. But obviously,
Who knows?
You
I don't
be the
have the
judge.
answers.
you be the judge.
Thank God. I don't have the answers.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Everybody, we're existing in this world, and there's a lot that we don't know about it or this universe beyond, which is vast and
True.
old and will exist for a very long time.
True.
So, just a little something to keep in mind. If you enjoyed what you witnessed today, ooh, what's she doing over there? She's just stretching out your
My
back.
brain just had a moment. I had to.
Embrace.
Thank you.
If you'd like to see more, you can hit the subscribe button down below.
Hit it.
It's right there. It's free. You can bang the bell,
Bang it.
ring the bell, to get notifications when we do new uploads and everything like that. If you would like to support us further, you can join our Patreon or become a member. Becoming a member is like literally right there next to subscribing. You can join any tier. We're going to be doing a watch party for Heather Gay's new mini series.
Surviving Mormonism, I think, is what it's called.
So if you would like to join us on a little watch party, I know we've been saying we were going to do Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, but our kid goes
We
to
got
bed later
behind.
now. So
We got behind.
yeah, doing a lot needs to, yeah. Anyway, so if you are interested in joining us on some watch parties for those episodes, you can join that and you can find some more information when you sign up.
We will post the watch party status in the community tab of YouTube or on Patreon next week.
Watch parties happen over on Discord, so I'm going to plug the Discord right here. You can go to the invite link in the description down below to get access that. That's where we do it, so make sure if you're going to join, you link up your Discord with YouTube or Patreon, whichever one you're doing, becoming a member or becoming a patron. That way you can get access to that, and it's a lot easier if we do it a little bit in advance. That way we can make sure everybody's situated before we start. Also, if you would like to, we will announce things like this on Instagram and do little reminders on Instagram because it's the easiest over there. Or if you would like to see the stuff that we're reposting on TikTok or clips and things of old that we used to do, you can follow us on social media at Jordan and McKay on both of those respective platforms. So please find us on those spots, those places, and you can keep the fun going. But we love you.
Stay spoopy.
Stay spooky. Have some fun. And as always, we'll see you next time.